I don't know if you know this, but a little something along the lines of AI art has been pretty much everywhere. And, well, instead of getting mad at it, I kind of wanted to see what the hype is all about and maybe draw one myself. So, I'm going to go to the place where AI art is most rampant, which is Pinterest. And let's scroll through. This is one of my boards that I have, and I just saved various AI pins to this, so I'm going to scroll through and see what I can find. And oh wow, this game controller looks like a nice choice. I have a very hard time drawing gold. I have a very hard time drawing white, so this is the perfect candidate for this. Okay, so starting out with the sketch, I'm going in with a very light hand. Well, actually, very, very light hand, so much so to the point where you can't even see anything on camera. Let's fix that. Okay, that's a bit better. Now, I'm going in and trying to draw the general shape that I see, and because this controller is slightly tilted, the thing on the left-hand side, or I guess the entire left-hand side of the game controller is completely tilted and facing a little bit more to us, the audience, and the right-hand side is a little bit more recessed, which was honestly quite challenging to draw. I took so many tries, but let me spare you from that, and this is where the sketch started looking a little bit better. But this was only true for the game controller. I still had the background to put in, and I mean, it wasn't that hard because essentially it's just straight lines with some slanted edges at the top, I guess. I'm really bad at describing stuff, but the background was kind of fun to put in, actually. Now, I was a little intimidated by the details because last time I did gold embellishments on something, it didn't turn out as well as I would hope for it to, and well, I don't know, I was scared that the same thing was going to happen to this, but you know, I'm taking a chance and I'm trying to venture out and conquer my fears with drawing. So I'm going in now and drawing in the little gold details, and honestly, I tried my best to replicate it as best as possible to the original reference image, but it was a little tricky. Also, just like, you know, side tangent, Pinterest now has this feature where they tell you if something is AI modified, but I have a feeling that AI modification feature also runs on AI running it. Does that make sense? Like it's AI running an AI tracker, running an AI. Okay, but basically, I was going through these photos and most of them were clearly AI modified or, you know, AI made or whatever. And yet Pinterest refused to tell you that. And there were some images that were clearly not AI and yet Pinterest marked them as AI modified. So just something to watch out for. Anywho, right now, let's go in and swatch some colors for the background, which I feel like tackling the background would probably be the easiest way to go about this, except I am very unskilled with these markers, and well, like coloring along the edges where the edges needed to be straight was a little bit hard, so that was kind of challenging. But I'm putting in the background first because I feel like that really affects your main subject and the lighting and all that stuff. And also because the background was like pitch black and it was very blended, I felt like it was going to be the easiest thing to tackle. So I went in with my little markers and just started coloring in. This little bottom part was a little bit tricky because it had kind of like 3 different shapes and 3 different colors, which were all semi-blended together, but also very distinct shapes. So it was kind of hard to discern what to do with that area. But honestly, the hardest part was yet to come. That was so easy. So I'm still making tweaks to my sketch, don't mind that. And I was going in to color the little sticks with blue, and I accidentally ended up using the wrong shade of blue, so I'm just going to pretend like that never happened and color in the rest with the other blue. That's the correct blue. Lots of blue. Anyways, I'm going in and coloring the other side as well now, and hopefully I don't make the same mistake again. Now I'm going in with that, we'll just call it the shameful mistaken blue, and use that for the shadows of that pit thingy underneath the control thingies. This would probably be a lot easier if I knew what the terminology was for these things. If you guys know it, please let me know down in the comments. Right, and using that same marker, I'm going in and filling up everything else that's also going to be colored blue, including these little buttons on the right hand side. And the reason why I'm not coloring this in entirely is because the top part will be the highlight portion. So these are actually just the shadow area of those buttons. Okay, so I'm pretty much all done coloring in everything that needs to be colored in with the blue marker, and now I'm going in with this like yellow gold color to do all the golden embellishments on the controller, which I used this marker pretty much everywhere where I saw like the golden embellishments happening. I mean, I did change the marker out for the parts that were a bit darker, but because I used it everywhere, I feel like it kind of gave me a harder time later on when I went to go put in the highlights and shadows. But you know what, it did save me time. Back when I was like first getting introduced to realism and all this stuff, I saw most artists use colored pencils, and I just thought they used it on like everything. Like, I'm talking, you know, details, background, every single inch of the paper I thought was just covered in colored pencil, which for a lot of artists it may be, but because I wanted to work in a larger scale, and especially with colored pencil, my drawings took forever back then. But I mean, I know better now, and I literally blend like 5 different materials all at once just to create one artwork, so I don't know which way is more efficient, really. I will say this way is definitely more fun because I get to mess around with so many different mediums, and I don't know, I just really like doing it this way. Okay, now I'm going in and coloring that podium in the back, and this one was a little bit difficult because it's kind of in focus but also out of focus at the same time. Because it's lighter than the other things in the background, it's definitely going to stand out a bit more, and also my marker ran out at this time. So let's put that away and get out a new marker, and this one is pretty similar to the one I was using, so hooray for that. So I'm just gonna go in and color that in. Okay, now I'm going in with my kneadable eraser and just erasing those little dots in the center. I don't know what they're called, like pretty much everything else in this drawing, and those were like one of the hardest parts of the drawing because I felt like every single time I tried doing them, they were slanted, tilted. I think I finally got them to look the way I wanted it to, and I'm now going in with some grays for all the other areas of the controller. So even though this looks white, I think most of you know this, but things that are white in art aren't actually white. They're pretty much hues of gray, reds, pinks, every color just mixed together in a light shade. Now it is time to do the golden embellishments. So this was a bit scary to tackle, as I've been saying throughout the entire video, and now it was time to tackle the shadow areas of these golden parts. And I'm just doing that with this like coffee brown colored pencil, and if I need it to be more warm tone, I'm going in with this like reddish type of brown, and if I need to darken it up, what I do is I just go in with a black colored pencil to make it more darker. Okay, there's this bird image detailing on the left hand side of this controller, and this is the part that really solidifies the fact that this is AI because none of it really makes sense, but I still kept it because I really liked the way it looked. So I'm going in with the brown and the blues and, you know, just really detailing that part in. Here we go. This is where I started to put in the like, you know, black lines for the little dots. So I'm going in with my pencil first, and then I'm going to go over top of that with a black colored pencil. Okay, now I'm going to try and tackle that little color mishap that happened. This was actually way easier to fix than I thought. I just took a light blue colored pencil and just colored over that, and it kind of just disappeared. So that was great. And now it was finally time to tackle those buttons, and this is what I was dreading because it was quite difficult, honestly, but you know, I just drew in the shapes and hope for the best, and hopefully you don't focus on that area so you won't see my mistakes. And now it is time to paint. Okay, so getting out my paints and my dirty little paint palette, which is really just a plate, I'm going to pour out some beige, and this is what happened when I was trying to do that. This honestly looked so gross, and it felt gross, but it was really satisfying to take out. Paint slime. Okay, so I'm gonna go in with this beige paint for that table that you see on the bottom, and unfortunately this was unnecessary because it just so happens that this beige paint is a little bit too warm tone. So instead of wasting all this, I think what I'm going to do is mix in some blues and maybe lighten it up a little bit more as well, and hopefully that is a better shade. And now I'm going to do the details of it, which honestly I kind of just stopped following the reference at this point because I simply could not. So I just drew in my own details and hope for the best. And finally, I'm just going to add in some finishing details like the highlights and some more shadows, and we are done. right, what do you think of the finished result? Let me know in the comments. Bye!